Hey everybody, how's it going? So it's been a long time. So I did the router table, uh, the very first part one. Um, I did that, and then I did a whole bunch of other videos and stuff like that. But then my iPad uh, couldn't, didn't have enough room, and I tried doing a bunch of various different things to pull stuff off the iPad, save them on these like little USB stick things and stuff like that. And well, I'm just now getting around to trying to get the video taken care of and stuff like that. Nothing was working. I was having nothing but problems. So I wound up having to spend money to get a new iPad, and I got the new iPad Pro with a terabyte storage. So now I shouldn't have any more problems. So for a while now, I've been going over some footage and stuff like that, trying to figure out trying to figure out certain footage and stuff like that, so I can try to finish this stuff. And because I screwed up on the router table so much, and I had to stop working on the router table to work on dust collection because I almost burned up my shop vac. And then I did a whole series of videos on everything I did for the shop vac to do dust collection, but I couldn't edit anything. I couldn't do anything. So I just pretty much decided, you know what? I'm just gonna scrap the videos, and I'm just gonna do this video real quick about the router table, what I've done to it. It's done now. The dust collection, what I did to do some of the dust collection stuff that I did. It's also been, it's been several months. It's June 27th right now, so we're right in the middle of the quarantine and the COVID 19 crap that's been going on and stuff like that. And I call it crap because Oregon really didn't get hit very hard, and our governor's making horrible decisions. And so she's made it to where we've got to have like masks wearing and crap like that. And the company that we work for, we have to wear masks all while we're in uniform and while we're driving and stuff like that. And we're getting sick of that. I'm just so sick of the whole thing. I didn't take any precautions when the whole thing happened. I mean, when the whole COVID thing started happening, they said it was coming from China. I went to my favorite Chinese restaurant with a Chinese family who happens to run it. They had just gotten back from China because the whole part of this whole thing kind of happened, stemmed right around the one of the Chinese holidays, a new moon or something like that. It's some kind of Chinese New Year thing. And so they had just gotten back from China, um, from being there. And I mean, I ate their food. I didn't get sick. I haven't. I've been one of the lucky ones to not catch the COVID 19. It is a serious thing. I'm not trying to put it off that it's not serious. It is serious because some people, or a lot of people, have died because of it. But now we're at that point to where the CDC's stepping up and saying, well, this is just a more severe thing of the flu and stuff like that, and so on and so forth. And that everybody needs to catch it now so it can just work its way through and stuff like that. But, they want us to wear the mask so not everybody gets sick all the time and everything else and blah, 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 blah. And I just had it up to here. I'm just so sick of just the whole thing. But anyway, yeah. So that's where we're at now. And a lot of things have happened since then. I've got from about here over to here a whole bunch of teeth pulled. So I have a hard time saying certain words, certain words, stuff like that. You're probably going to notice that I've gotten new glasses because now I'm getting older-ish, and so now I've got to have the bifocal portion so I can actually read what's going on and stuff like that, so on and so forth. And then I just recently had kidney stones come out, so I've had surgery. My favorite fluid of all time was cherry Coke, and that's all I really drank. I never drank any water. Well, here's my number one. This is one of my bottles from the hospital. So when I had my surgery and stuff like that, so that's nothing but water for me from now on. So, and that'll be pretty much until I die. Plus, Miss Marie that just walked into the picture and turned right around and walked back out has changed her name. She's not Candy anymore. She's Marie. So that's a new thing we gotta do. So back to why I'm here and why I'm doing this video. The router table and the finished router table now. We're jumping from how I basically started it to the finished product now. Well, it's finished to the point where I can use it, but it's not finished to the way that I wanted it. But I screwed up on it so many times. It's off kilter, certain things aren't cut right, stuff like that, so on and so forth. I overbuilt it. It's way too heavy. And I don't know why I was thinking I need to build it that heavy, but I was. But I did, and that's just what happened. And then I almost burned up the shop vac, which was, a couple $100 shop vac, because I was just sucking up sawdust. I wasn't thinking about sawdust clogging the filter. And then the more the filter gets clogged, the more the thing did. The more the shop vac could just possibly burn up. And so then I had to worry about dust collection, because the MDF that I'm using is just very, very fine sawdust that's glued together, and to just make sheets like plyboard and stuff like that. So, yeah. So I was chewing that up with the router and stuff like that and some of the saws, and then I was sucking it up. And it just started clogging the air filter real bad. And then one night I was using it, and all of a sudden I smelled something burning. And I realized it was my motor, and I immediately shut my shop vac off. And then I started trying to figure out why the motor should be burning up when I'm just sucking up sawdust. And then you need air to go through the air filter in the shop vac to make sure that it's sucking all the air that it can and everything else, and so on and so forth. And now that filter's clogged, and now it's burning up the motor, which is how you burn up a vacuum cleaner, shop vac, stuff like that anyway, so on and so forth. So then I had to stop the build on the router table and start working on a dust collection so I don't burn up my shop vac. So, finished router table first. Okay, so we left off with me cutting a whole bunch of footage out. Plus also I only get 15 minutes to talk about stuff, because I can only put a 15-minute video out. So on and so forth, and I'm watching the clock on this, and I'm already into damn near almost 10 minutes. So let's get going on the router table. Okay, so here's the finished product of the router table. The wrench that's right here, I went out and got a very cheap set of chisels, and I was able to cut that out. It's held in by a magnet. And I just drew out the design of the wrench and then put it on there. And I need the wrench so I can change router bits. I got a piece of acrylic from Amazon, and I attached it to the trim router. I took that piece of plastic off, and I have got it to where the trim router, to where the whole thing, it doesn't exactly sit flat, but it sits flat enough. I also had to help with dust collection, I bought this extra piece that just screws into there to help suck in dust and stuff like that, to help with dust collection. But the problem is that this section right here of the dust collection fit underneath this section here because I got way too much wood. Because remember, I've got 3/4 inch, 1/4 inch, and then this little white piece of MDF. And as you can see, the tracks, when I put it in, how much it cut down, that's why I said I overbuilt the table. I didn't need this section, this piece of MDF, but I already glued all of this together, so I'm SOL. When I used the router to cut the T-track, to insert the T-track, well, I screwed all that up too, and I made lines and stuff like that, but for the most part it's straight. And so the whole purpose is that when you're using the router and everything else and so on and so forth, that you try to keep everything straight. So now this sits in the hole like this, and so what I've got to do is put the trim router in, slide it down, put that piece over into that hole area. Sorry, I had to use my right hand. My left hand wasn't working. And now it sits flush. So now what I do is I come down here. I bought this Y connection pipe. And then I bought hose clamps, which are those green things. And what I did was I put a hole in the hose clamp and then just screwed the hose clamp into the wood. And then you have to open up the hose clamp thing all the way to be able to get, and that's what's holding on to that Y piece. So I bought an industrial heat gun. Let's see if I can get this. I bought an industrial heat gun and this piece of plastic for holes, and I had to melt it just a tiny bit so it will fit into the hole of that plastic piece I was talking about. Sorry, I'm bending in such a way that's bending my neck to help with dust collection. Okay, so, whoops. Well, I'll have to cut that out. Just got my big fat finger in the way. So, I got the tracks cut, got the tracks in, everything's flush on that. Not everything is quite flush on the acrylic. Here's the fence. I wanted to put pieces of wood underneath the fence here, so that way when it slid into the hole of the track right here, and it would keep the track or the fence straight when you're sliding it, and so on and so forth. So I have this little measuring tool right here, but it's also a perfect thing to use to make sure that the fence is straight on with everything else, so that way I can get my fence as straight as it needs to be. And then I've got the turn knob lock handles down, and these are T-bolt, or the screws are T-bolts. Okay, and then what I did was I used the trim router to try to cut these holes out the best that I could, and I just didn't do a very good job. It just didn't work out. I got MDF to make the fence, and then I just screwed this piece in. Now, that Y section pipe that's down there is all part of the dust collection. So what it boils down to is that this section of the hose right here, and has this piece on it right here. This piece slides perfectly into that section there. And when you have this all loose, that hose will travel with the fence and everything that I need to do with it. Okay. And obviously this is the part of the thing where we talk about dust collection. So now, dust collection. There are several different, here I'm going to turn this around. There are several different dust collection systems out there that attach to a bucket. And there's one called a Dust Deputy where you actually attach it to the top lid of a bucket. And then there's another one that I can't remember the name of it, but it actually attaches like a bucket lid to the top of the bucket. So I did a whole bunch of research, and it ended up coming out being that the Dust Deputy picked up 96 or 97% of the sawdust and put it in the bucket, and then the other portion, the other percentage, actually went into the shop vac, or the well, for me, I'm using a shop vac, so the rest of the percentage will actually go into the shop vac. And so I'm not worried about it. It's so fine and so misty that it's not going to hurt the filter. And I took an air compressor and cleaned out the filter. Well, I took a whole bunch of PVC piping and a little bit of time of planning and just putting things together and stuff like that. And what I did was, part of the reason why I bought that industrial heat gun was because I needed to, the PVC piping that I bought was too big to fit in the holes on the back of the shop vac. Because the shop vac, which I'm going to show you now with the dust collection and everything, is this whole thing right here. So the black bag that's right here fit into this black section, the back section. There's this yellow portion of the PVC pipe sits in. There's another piece on the other side, and that bag sat in it. So what I did was I basically constructed this PVC piping racking system. At first, I had it to where there was just this little nub that stuck out, but if the whole thing starts to shake back and forth, it sat right on that yellow switch that's right there that I'm pointing at right now. That's the power button that turns the shop vac on and off, and that little nub was turning everything on and off. So what I did was everything just I kind of designed everything perfectly, but I've got a piece of pipe, a PVC pipe that goes all the way back, and now when that bucket gets full of sawdust, this thing just gets a little bit, it just sits on here perfectly. And because I glued everything together, I glued all the PVC piping together and stuff like that, it is so rigid and just literally stuck together. And so I had to use the heat gun to fold the pipe so it would fit into the sections down here, and then put the bucket in. Well, part of the problem, I had everything perfect to where it would fit in and I could have the bucket in here, and I could turn it, and this portion of the bucket got locked underneath here. Well, the glue for the PVC piping dries so flipping quick that the back pieces of some of the T-section, I mean, like this piece here is just barely sticking in here, but the glue held on to it enough that it's not going to pop out. But I wasn't able to get everything glued together properly. And so because the PVC piping was white, I wanted it to kind of go with everything that I have and stuff like that, so on and so forth. So I just put a garbage bag over the top of my shop vac, pushed the garbage bag into the holes, and then pushed the thing in, and then just rolled it out into the parking lot with some yellow spray paint and sprayed it yellow, so at least that way it kind of matched the shop vac a little bit, except for obviously the orange Home Depot bucket and the Dust Deputy. So there's the Dust Deputy there. So here's basically what happens. We turn it on at the power button. Air sucks into the top portion up here, which creates a tornado effect inside the Dust Deputy area, and then obviously air, dust, and debris goes into here, and so on and so forth. So as everything gets sucked in, you would think, well, it would go straight up and stuff like that, but there's a section on this top portion right here, there's a section of pipe that actually sticks down just enough. So what ends up happening is that everything gets circled around in, but it gets close to the bottom, and it actually loses air pressure just a tiny bit in the bottom, and so everything just falls down and goes straight into the bucket, instead of getting to the edge of the piece of section that's stuck in here and getting sucked up and going into the shop vac. Okay, so basically I roll the shop vac over to the router table, basically like this, and then the hose, this section of hose that's laying on the floor right here, gets picked up, and this section fits. Hold on, I gotta use both hands for this. Fits over the end. Now, I've noticed that there's sawdust building up here, meaning there's air coming through here, which means there's sawdust coming out here. So I need to redo this so something actually goes into the hole instead of on the outside of it. But anyway, so there's the dust collection. Then everything falls in that bucket, and then as soon as that bucket gets full, all I do is I pop it out and pop the lid right off the bucket, and then take it out to the dumpster and dump the sawdust in there, and then come back and snap the lid back on. The lid is snapped on securely. It's not just sitting on there. I snapped it on securely, and then hook the hoses all back up, and voila. So a lot of these projects that I've been doing and stuff like that and so on and so forth, and I'm also going to be putting stuff away because I kind of made a mess in the house to kind of move all this stuff around, and I got to put it all back. So all these projects that all the stuff that I've done has just been a series of projects and stuff like that that I've been doing since November of 2019, since I first posted the router table part 1. So yeah, now it's the router table's finished. I gave you a quick rundown of everything. Oh, when I glued the table together, that's one thing too. When I glued the table together and stuff like that, and that one section that I said that I had to cut off, so then that way the thing would be 24, so the table would be 24 by 24. Well, the aluminum, I used this piece of aluminum right here, that's got a track. Oh, my hand's in the way. I'm sorry. It's got a track built into it, but I can snap it onto the side and hook it to the side, and then run something down the edge right here where my thumb's rubbing to keep it straight. Well, this damn thing flexed on me. And now what it is that from here to there is 24, and from here to here is 23. So what happened was, this is the edge that I cut right here. And what it boiled down to is that this is 23 and a quarter, then it gets to here and it's about 23 and about in the middle, this, because that's about where the middle is. And then on the other side over here, it's like 23 and a quarter. And so the damn metal thing flexed on me when I was cutting it with the circular saw. And I wasn't even pushing this way, I was pushing forward, but that damn thing flexed on me, so now this section comes in like this and goes back out. So now my other option is to cut it again, run the saw down, but just make it 23, so now the table will be 24, 23. And because that piece of metal flexed on me, I didn't want to take the chance of it getting any worse. Yeah, so that's what's going on. That's the update. Sorry I didn't do what I really wanted to do. And I know my videos are kind of jumbled and stuff like that, but I'm working on it. That's some of the stuff that I need to start putting down too. But that's one of those things for where I've been doing television for so long and video editing for so long that it's easier for me to work it out in my head and just do it from my head, that if I try to put it down on paper and then I like a script or something like that and I try to follow the script, it just doesn't work out. So it's just one of those things where I've got to work on it. Like this video here that I just did, I literally figured it all out, figured out everything I was going to say and everything else within seconds before I started the video. I think I took about 15 seconds to think about everything that I wanted to say real quick and point everything out and just make everything straight to the point, so that way I'm not rambling on, because I do realize in some of my videos I ramble on way too much, kind of like I'm rambling on way too much right now. So, but anyway, that's the update. Router table's done. Dust collection's done. More videos are going to come. I don't know what. Well, we've got some projects that are laying around that we need to do and we need to get started on. So on and so forth. So, and I'll try to film as much as I can on that. I've got a bigger project coming up that is going to require more attention. And I'm also thinking about possibly doing a daily vlog, which will probably end up me venting a little bit about work and life in general and talking about certain things and stuff like that, and hopes and goals and dreams. But the funny part about it is that because I'm such a because I can do it all, but I can tell you everything that's goals and stuff like that in like a 10-second video, and it'll cover everything for the rest of my life. So, but anyway, that's the update. So have a good one. Bye.